Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay. I'm super nervous, but that's okay. So thank you guys for hopping on with us. Today we have a very special guest. We have Amber Parker, and I'm super excited about this. So I okay, so I'm so nervous, you guys. This is ridiculous. Anyway, so okay, y'all know that we went to the Winter Circle in Florida last month. I was blessed to be able to go with Tasha, and I went up there and I was super nervous. And it's really funny how I met Amber because we're at last day, we're at headquarters, and I'm with my phone. I'm gonna take a picture of my plate that had like the medal and like the water bottle with the It Works thing, and I'm like getting the camera out, and just so happened Amber walks behind me and she's like, "So you want to take a picture of me?" And I'm like, "Okay." You know, like I didn't know what to tell her. I'm like, Amber Parker's like leaning over my shoulder, asking her if I want to take a picture. So we took a picture, and then I was like starstruck, and then we walked outside, and then she ended up coming and talking to me. And then later on that night at the brewery, she sat down with us. Her and Josh sat down with me, Tasha, Carrie, and Carissa, and she just like lit our souls on fire. And so I came back home and I felt so just different. And I couldn't stop talking about her to you guys. And so I wanted to get her on so that she can just fill your souls like how she did me and Tasha and Karen Chris up there. So I'm going to pass it over to Miss Amber Parker.
Oh my goodness, Dori. First of all, you guys, aloha. Did I say it right? I'm so excited. I'm coming to visit soon. Actually, my brother just finished building a house in Hawaii. And so hopefully, you never know, maybe we'll come out there. But you guys, I've been doing this business now for almost 9 years. August will be 9 years. And I've seen the highs, I've seen the lows. Bear with me today if I'm wiping my nose. It hasn't been awesome up in here today. So, but I hope and I pray that today this is a space for you guys. This is a space where you guys can get what you need from me. Nothing worse than jumping on a Zoom and being like, okay, been there, done that, learned that. Okay, that was a waste of my hour. So please feel free in the chat to drop anything that you have for me, any questions, concerns, comments, whatever that you need. I hopefully can give that to you. No promises though. Dori, do we have any questions or where do you want me to kind of take this?
That night that we're at the brewery and you were sitting down and you were talking to us, and just that positive mindset. Like for me, myself, I went up there feeling unworthy, to be up there with everybody, and coming from Hawaii, like, just so closed-minded and not letting my guard down to accept everything that was happening. And I'm still trying to work on that myself. I have a couple of questions, but I think maybe we'll save that to the end.
Yeah, let's start there. So you guys, with one, how many of you drop a 1 in the chat if you feel like maybe you're not worthy, or maybe you didn't, it's not in your line of being raised, of being successful, or is there somebody muted, Dori? Or unmuted? Or maybe you feel like it's not in your deck of cards of life to be successful. And, for me, growing up in Flint, Michigan, if you guys don't know where that's at, I'm pretty sure still the most dangerous city in the United States, if not right next to Detroit. And that's where I was raised. I worked full time since I was 14 years old, and I'm the youngest of 7, I think. Sometimes when there's that many in your family, you just lose count and you just are like, I'm one of them, right? And we grew up in a very comfortable home. I mean, decent life. We had everything that we needed, but nothing extra. We never, we were always taught, if you want it, work for it. If you want it, pay cash. If you want it, figure it out. Like, our parents aren't responsible for you. And I know that different cultures set that different tone. And kind of one of the things that Dori and I were talking about was, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, Dori, Tosh, anyone, if ever I say something that's wrong, but, in your maybe in Hawaii or the Big Island or any of, it doesn't matter where or what culture you grew up in, there's always going to be that point where you learn what your parents taught you. And I think that there's two good parts to that. There's the part that shows you exactly what you don't want to do. And then there's the party that wants to save everything. And again, doesn't matter what culture you grew up in, there's always those two different dynamics. And so how do we find a balance in wanting to break the chain of how we were raised, or the ripple of, okay, this is just, it is what it is, to I have to save everybody and it's my responsibility, to what kind of legacy can I leave? And for me, when I first started this, I knew I had to grow. I knew I had to change. And I got a lot of backlash from it because it wasn't in our deck of cards, right? It's no way, right? Oh, you didn't go to college? Oh, then you can't make $1 million. Oh, you don't have these credentials. You're not in this checklist. There's no way you could be blessed like that. And that's simply not true. And so one of the things that I was talking to Dori about was really growing through those fixed beliefs, those beliefs that it has to look a certain way, or you'll never make it out of here, or you'll never go there, or, we were even talking with our kids this last weekend about how some people have never even left their city in the world, right? Like they'll never get to experience a flight. They'll never get to experience a ranch. They'll never get to experience, what it is. We've been blessed with this vehicle and this opportunity. And it's like, why are we playing small? Why aren't we jumping, resistance towards how we were raised, or the way that we're raised, or the way that our culture is, and breaking that change and making a new habit. And so with that, it's only something that you can do. I can't do it for you. I can guide you. I can help you. I can share my experience with you, but my experience reading a book or listening to a podcast or showing up to something is going to be completely different than if you do it, right? And so what is the area, or what is the belief behind you, each individual person? What is that's holding you back? And, sometimes it could be money. It could be habits. It could be health, right? There's lots of different dynamics that kind of hold us back. And so what is that personal, professional, and spiritual growth? It's your job, it's your duty, and it's your obligation to make sure that gets changed, and expect backlash. I told Dori, I said, if you're holding the football, you're going to get tackled. And right now you guys have a football in your hands, and it's called It Works Global. And you have the opportunity. And I just think, wow, you guys were all called for this. What a blessing. And you're not done. And Hawaii needs it. Your culture, your people, your future generations, they deserve it, right? I don't know if that's what you wanted, Dori. That's what I got.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then so you mentioned 2 different books. So I did order them as soon as I got home. I did finish The Game of Life and How to Play It.
So good.
And then I also played it for a couple of the girls on here. We started a 5 a.m. Zoom. And so I played it for them over the past couple of days, and we finished today. I got home and I was so excited to get this book and to read it. And then I hate reading. It's on my vision board to read 3 books this year, but I hate reading. And I was like, okay, it's only 100 pages. I was not expecting what I got out of this book. Like, I did not want my personal journey with God, and I'm trying to learn and grow my faith and grow my connection with him. And so opening this book and having so many references to the Bible and to the word of Jesus and everything, like, I'm in love with this book, and I couldn't wait to share it with everybody. So I love that you love that book. Yeah. And you guys, that's where you're going to start, right? She says that she knows what she doesn't want to do, and yet she's doing it anyways. And that's the difference between somebody that'll stay exactly where they're at, won't break the chain, or somebody that will. And
it's the same thing for me. I used to say I never read a book cover to cover until I read The Last Arrow by Erwin McManus. And he's a pastor out of LA. And he's a different breed. Amazing man, beautiful church. But I don't know about you guys, but I feel like there's a lot of us that are a little bit tainted by maybe spiritual or religion, or, you know, what the box has to look like. In that book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, like she said, it's all, for me, it was truth, and it may not be truth for you, but I'm going to challenge you to just be open to it, right? And I dropped another book in the chat. It's called The Prayer of Jabez. And Cami actually introduced that one to me, and it's the same. It'll take you about an hour and a half to read it, as like actual physical read it. And in the book, he talks about, you know, Lord, expand my territory. Expand my territory. And when you hear that, what does that mean to you, right? Expand my territory. For me, that means my comfort zone. For me, that might mean my actual territory of where my team is. But if we can say, it's a short prayer, bless me indeed, right? Is what he says in the book. But you can read that book, and he says, read it weekly for the rest of your life. Read it every single week, the rest of your life, and watch miracles happen. And there's true testimonies in there of people that have done it and have said the prayer every single day. It's short, it's super short. And the miracles that have happened in their life. And so oftentimes in this business, the things we don't want to do are the things that's holding us back from that next level. And just like you said, you don't love to read. I don't love to read either. I usually will get a book and an Audible, just so that way at least I can get 10% versus no percent. But I always want to have the actual physical book so I can, you know, highlight and quote and all that. But for me lately, this breakthrough, and every new season will have a new level of where you want to dig deep into. And maybe that's for you, you know, it might be your health or your exercise. It might be your spiritual growth. It might be your money mindset. It might be your money spending habits. Okay. What area do you want to focus on? And this season, I love that you said you had a 5 a.m. club. We just started one with our team at 7:30 in the morning. And I know you're like, oh, 7:30, we're doing 5 o'clock. Okay, well, 7:30 is a big push for me. So we're going to start there. Okay. And I kept telling my team, I said, I don't want to do it. I have no desire. Like, it doesn't, I'm not excited about 7:30 in the morning. And I've done the 5 a.m. club. I've done, you know, I did, when I competed in fitness, it was 5 a.m., 4:30 in the morning, and I was like miserable. And so I think take where you're at and start there. Don't try and turn your whole life around. Just start with 1 or 2 things. And whether that's reading 3 books this year, Dori, I think you can do more. You've already done 1. That's great. We're halfway through the year. Or maybe you've done more than that. And so find out what area for you. Maybe waking up is easy for you, or going to bed is easy for you. You know, challenge yourself in the things that you don't want to do. That's where you're going to expand your territory and be able to grow. And so I'm proud of you, Dori. That's exciting. That book is so good.
I know one of our girls had a question. How do you know what type of personal development book to read or buy? Like, what books do you gravitate to?
So it varies. Okay. One of the things, depending on where you're at and what you need, is going to be depending on what you want. So for me, when I first started, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about strategy or sales or anything like that. So that was the place I started, was sales. What keywords, why is there good salesmen and bad salesmen, right? Everyone in this world is a salesman, every single person. If you're married, you sold your husband, I'm marrying you. Okay. Like, you are the best salesman. And if you have a best friend, you sold that best friend that you're the best friend. And so think of it in a way of, how do I become a better person? But also I hate the word salesman, because that's not really what we want to do, but how do I become a better friend? And I started studying leadership, sales, systems, marketing. I didn't know any of that. I was a hairstylist. Like, I was a mom. Like, I don't know. I didn't know any of that stuff. I'd never been in that position before. And some people come in with management, but they have no tact, right? They have no people skills. They just know how to manage, or no relationship, you know, ethics or morals or standards. And so find out what area you feel like you're lacking in. Is it confidence? For me, there was a year after my car accident where I just had zero confidence. And I Googled best books for confidence and to increase my confidence. I just Googled it. Like at this day and age, with the amount of free knowledge, it's pure ignorance that you're not learning. It's free. Like you can Google anything, you can YouTube, you can look at it. And then when I'm looking and searching for that puzzle or what part of college am I in right now, I think about, what do I need? What am I lacking? Am I frustrated? Am I not consistent? How do I be more consistent? Do I want to focus on being a mom right now and learning how to be a better mom, okay, or a better wife? All of that plays into this business, whether we like it or not. And so I just Google or go to Audible and I find a book and I'll listen to a sample of it. And if I get chills or if I get inspired or if I like the tone of voice, that's true. Then I buy it and I download it. But you know, when I first started, it was when I was going diamond, it was more of You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And now I can't stand to even listen to that book. I'm so far past that, but it's an incredible book for people that need that constant reminder that you are. And then there's different books like, you know, Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. It was good, you know, but I'm like, I don't want to trade places with her. So I'm not going to take more advice from her. She has really, really, really good stuff. But then there was a season where I was growing my faith and I started studying Stephen Furtick, Erwin McManus, Craig Rochelle, any leadership pastors that kind of, you know, weren't in my what I'm normally programmed to. And so find what you're missing and Google it, and then spend a quarter of the year studying that. Okay. In 2020, it was all about money. Every single book that it was Automatic Millionaire, anything to do with money, because I wanted to break the chain of how I was raised with money. Money's bad. Money's the root of all evil. Money doesn't buy you happiness. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? Like whatever it was that we were taught or that were programmed, or people with money are bad. People with money are, you know, do horrible things. Well, people without money do too. So which one are you going to take, right? And so for me, it was studying money mindset, money, happy money. Like there was hundreds of thousands of books in each of these categories. And so that's kind of how I do it, is I just see like, what am I missing? Why am I frustrated? What's, you know, where am I lacking? And then I try and, as a student, search for that teacher. Right now I'm doing Winning the War in Your Mind by Craig Rochelle.
I have the other book that you mentioned too, The Love. I have it at home. No, I have it here. No, I have it at home. It's another book that I have that you mentioned to me and Tasha. So I did that. It's a large book.
Oh, Loving What Is.
Yes, that one.
Yep.
And so I decided to read that one too. I like people like Stephen Furtick because he's loud. You know what I mean? Like because I'm red, like well, not today. Today I'm more yellow, but I love when like people yell, like Eric Thomas or Stephen Furtick, because they're loud and they're, you know, like punching your gut type deal. But that's the kind of people that I like. But yes, that was awesome. I know a lot of people are gonna take from that. We also talked about, I know a lot of us get well, how do you stay excited for so long with this business? How do you do that?
You know, I think, how do I stay excited? I look more at how do I stay forward focused, because I'm not always excited. Most days I'm not. Most days I'm like, if I have to freaking message another single person, like I'm gonna lose it. My fingers are gonna fall off. If I have to be on another Zoom, I'm like Zoom exhausted. But when I connect with new people, it always makes me excited. And when I get messages from people that are like, you changed my life, or your conversation, you know, together, you took that 5 minutes, it really helped me. All of that stuff it doesn't keep me excited, but it keeps reminding me that I need to stay excited and that I have a vehicle in my hand that I need to share. And then the other part is how do I do it regardless of how I feel, is I look at my kids and I know what I never want to go back to. I know that I never want to go back to being on WIC and food stamps. I know I never want to go back to having a job. I know I never want to go back to not being able to just at any given moment be there for my kids, right? They're here right now. And, you know, we're driving 4 hours to fly out tomorrow. So, you know, when I don't feel like doing it, I do it anyways. And I remember Mark telling me very early on in my business, he said, do what others won't so you can live like others can. And do what others aren't willing to do so you can live like others are willing to, like others can't live. And so that kind of sticks with me too, because there's not a lot of people that can relate to the freedom that we have. But it didn't come without sacrifice. It didn't come without discipline. It didn't come without growing pains and tears and blood and sweat, quite literally, right? But I'm willing to do that because I know the alternative. And I never, ever, ever want to go back to X, Y, and Z. And you have to decide that for you. Write that list of your never will I ever go back to. And having those reminders of I'm not done. Like there's so hundreds of thousands of people every single day that turn 18. Who are you going to be the next person that says, Dori, because you asked me, you changed my life. Tasha, because you sent me a message 17 times, you changed my life. Right? Because you will.
Tasha's laughing because she literally will. She will message people until they block her or get a restraining order. Like legit, she will continue to do that. And that is awesome. I know a lot of people, especially now, and we talked about the different seasons, and what we do is not for the weak at heart, honestly, because a lot of people drop off. What advice can you give those who, when people leave their team, they take all of that emotion on themselves, and then they feel like, well, it's over, you know? Because for me, like I was just telling them yesterday, like I am not going back to my regular 9-to-5 job. I've been in the management position. I've done all of that and I hated it. I let my anxiety and everything take over, and I'm not doing that again. I get to be home now with my kids. And yes, there's days that suck. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to message anybody, but I'm not going to step away, especially when people tell me no, you know what I mean? So what advice can you give people for when they have, let's say, all of their team, they're running for Diamond, they're running for Emerald, and now all of a sudden this month, all of their team is gone. They have nobody running with them.
So I think one is that there's a couple things. When I first started in this business, I started studying leadership, sales, all that. Og Mandino was one of my favorites. Zig Ziglar, he was one of my greatest mentors. They both have just CDs and audibles. You guys can look them up. But I don't know where I heard it from. It was probably one of those two. But one thing that I promised myself, and I want you guys to promise yourself today, is that I won't take credit for your success, but I also won't take fault for your failure. And I think a lot of times we do both. We want to take credit for someone's success, and we also take complete fault for their failure. We feel like it's a reflection of us. And is that true? In the book, Loving What Is, you'll be able to do that turnaround real quick. And it's 4 questions that'll completely change your life. And is that true? Did I make them fall? No. So who would I be without that thought? Well, I'd be excited. I'd be asking new people. I'd be killing it in my business, right? And so it's called The Work and the Turnaround, Byron Katie. She's amazing. I'm listening to her other book. It's called Your Inner Awakening right now. But in the book, Loving What Is, Dori, it talks about these 4 questions that will just totally change everything for you. And you can use it in any different situation. So 1, don't take credit for the success, and then you won't take fault for their failure. But 2, think about employees. Think about a traditional business. How many employees over 9 years, if I was running a boutique or a restaurant or a business or a call center, over 9 years, how many employees do you think I would have to go through? Lots, right? You go through managers, you go through assistant managers, you go through so many different employees, and people are raised to be employees. They're not raised to be CEOs. A CEO is a mindset. It is a shift, and you are a CEO. And just know that the people that left, they're just employees. They don't understand how to be a CEO, and I want to raise up CEOs. And so people decide to leave, or it's not for them. I have no emotion towards it. Doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean that it doesn't sting. And it doesn't mean that I still don't, wonder like, what could I have done better? And usually I'll ask them, was it something that I did? I'm just genuinely curious. Or can I ask like why you're leaving or why you're stopping? More than likely, you guys, it has nothing to do with the business and has something to do with what's going on internally with them in their home. And they want to drop because they know that this is it. We leave everything that's good, right? And we accept everything that's bad. So how do we shift that? You can only take responsibility for you. And are you training your brain and your mindset to be that CEO? Or are you depending on an upline? Are you depending on a downline? Are you depending on your employees or your boss, right? It's all just perspective shift. So I try to stay neutral and treat everybody the same, because I'll tell you what, the minute that you start kind of handpicking and recruiting and being like, oh, she would be really good, and I don't know that she'd be really good, you're going to be shocked at the people that you think are good because they suck. And you're going to be shocked at the ones that you maybe didn't give 2 seconds to, that they're your next rock stars. And I've seen it over and over again in this business. And that, that whole saying, don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know who's going to be your next ambassador. You never know who's in the depths of your organization that hasn't quit. We only look at the people in the positions and we think, oh, they're ready for the promotion, but they're not, right? And so just because people are in a position doesn't mean they're ready for the promotion. And if they're going to stop and leave, then they never wanted the promotion, right? They didn't want the CEO paycheck. I'm sorry, they didn't. I do. And I want to help other people who want that CEO paycheck too. So if you're in the way, then you got to go. And I'm not being rude. I'm just being efficient. I don't know if that's some people are like, okay, I'm never talking to you.
No, I love that. No, I love that. And then because we tell them that, but it's just coming from someone else, like I can tell them something and it may not click. Tasha may be able to tell them something and it's not going to click. And then here comes Amber and it's like, cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. We also have a lot of people who are like, well, I don't have my enroller quit. My enroller quit. I honestly legit forgot that my enroller was my enroller. And I was just talking to Tasha about this, but it and this is being recorded. Holy crap. But who cares? Oh wow. Anyway, so how do you what advice can we give to those people who are like, well, my enroller quit and I don't know if I can do this now?
Again, it goes back to
that support.
Yeah, and it goes back to that employee mindset. You're waiting for a boss. I don't know, but if you ask most of the ambassadors don't have a direct sponsor. Doesn't that tell you something? So I was messaging a girl today and she was like, I just want to be like, I need a mentor. I need somebody who needs me. And I said, sister, it's the greatest thing when nobody needs you above you, because it gives you the opportunity to create your own GPS map, to get yourself to success in a way that works for you and not dependent on an upline or a downline. Like, you don't need it. And for me, it was the greatest thing. In the moment, it sucked, right? And I felt like I was paralyzed because I'm like, well, nobody's ever gifted me anything. And nobody ever even gave me recognition until we were in top 50 in the company. Do you want to whine a little bit more? Like, it doesn't bother me, right? I'm a CEO. I started this business. It's my business. I love you, Mark, Cami, Mike, but it's my business. And I run it every day as if it's my business, my products, my warehouse, my shipping departments, my business. I'm the CEO. And so then I don't have, did Mark have an upline? Did Mark have a sponsor, right? No, he decided, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to step in with other CEOs. And we're going to be CEOs together. And so you don't need an upline, because again, I promise you the turnaround on this is, if you have a sponsor or an upline that you don't like, that's just as damaging as not having one. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's worse. So it's like, there's more people that have that tension between their sponsor and their upline at some point in their business, where for me, I was like, glad that's gone, because I didn't know her. She was a complete stranger and she wasn't working the business, and that's okay. I don't care, because she's not responsible for my success. So if you're saying I don't have an upline or a sponsor, be grateful. Because then you're going to do the work. And I promise sometimes they sit on their butt And then they're like, oh, yay, Dori just went double. And you're like, you didn't do a freaking single thing to help me. And they want to take credit for your success. And then that creates another form of frustration. So it's just seeing the perspective that you're the CEO. You don't need a sponsor and upline, because more than likely you'll bypass them anyway. If you have a true CEO mindset, which means I'm willing, I'm always learning, I'm always growing, no problem. Change your perspective, that's all.
Y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? I'm just watching Tasha because Tasha's like fully cheering on and like pumping fists and everything. And I'm watching everybody's faces because I'm like, do y'all hear that? She said, you don't need a damn upline. You don't need your enroller. You don't need your upline. You don't need your enroller. Yeah. Okay. So that is awesome. Does anybody have questions?
Yeah, unmute yourself or ask in the chat too. But I'll kind of look at it this way, you guys. Mark's my upline. And I've always looked to him and Cindy as my guidance, and Cami. And so are there people between me and corporate? Well, yeah, of course there is. There was 30 or so. 9 years later, there's probably 3, if I'm being honest. And it's because it reminds me of the same thing of I follow the Lord. Who are the 30 people in between me and him that are trying to get in the way? And can I just go straight to the Lord? Can I just go in this business straight to Mark and Cindy and Cami? Like, find that light and go there. And know that your circle doesn't have to even be in this business. Your community, your 5 people you hang out with the most, show me those people and I'll show you your future. And just because I say you're 5 people, that doesn't mean actually physically. Who are you listening to? Who are you watching on social media? Who are you speaking about, right? Who are those mentors? Like for me, Craig Rochelle, Erwin McManus, Mark and Cindy. Do I talk to them all the time? No. Do I listen to them all the time? Yes. Do I surround my majority of my time with those 5 people? Yes. Because that's who I want to be around. And your average income will be the 5 people that you hang around. Try it. Take the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if those 5 people are your kids, you got to find a new circle. Okay. Like you can be mom, but your kids aren't making any money. And so we got to do the turnaround on that. Okay. But if you take those 5 people that you spend the most time with, is it your aunts, your cousins, your uncles, take their average salary. Average. That's what you're going to make. Until you change it. I can't change it for you. I don't want to pick your circle. It'll probably be a square if I pick it. Right? It'll be 4 people. But you have to decide. And just because they're in your circle doesn't mean that you're in their circle. Right? And find those people that you want to trade places with. I'm not going to take advice, no offense, about marriage from somebody who's been divorced 6 times. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb, right? I'm not going to take my car that needs car fixing to a nail shop. They're not going to help me, right? So what area would you swap places with? Or who are those people that you would swap faith with? Put them in your circle. Who are the people in your life that have great marriages, that are good moms, right? I'm not going to take parenting advice from somebody who hasn't had a kid. It's not happening, right? So change your circle, change your life. And it doesn't mean you have to cut them out. It doesn't mean you have to be rude to them. It just means that you got to stop spending majority of your time hearing, speaking, and listening to them. Majority of your time needs to be changed with different people.
That's awesome. I personally, I'm trying to, another thing that came from the book was, and you told me this too up there, when I don't take help from other people, then I am denying them the blessing of helping me. And that was in the book too. We just heard it. They just heard it this morning when we were playing it. And I was like, see, so is that something that maybe you can kind of, I don't know how to.
Yep. Yeah, like me totally. Let's talk about give and take, right? Give and take in this business is a thing. And as a yellow, it's very hard for us to take. If you're yellow personality, drop a 1 in the chat. But I don't want to take, so therefore I won't ask for help. Because then I feel helpless and I'm not helpless. I want to be the one helping other people, right? But reds Reds are going to be like, I'll take all day long. I want to win. So what do I need from you? What do I need from you? And it can be kind of overbearing sometimes. But in the game of life, there's going to constantly be this ebb and flow of give and take. And let's say that I say, Dori, oh my gosh, I have this gift for you. I want to gift you my time. And you're like, no, it's okay. I'm fine. I don't need any help. You're taking away an opportunity from me. You think you're giving me more time, but you're actually taking away an opportunity for me to give to you, to love you, that I can never take back. And so there's a book, Give and Take, by, Josh is going to come in strong with me. Tim Grover? No. It's called Give and Take. But it really opens it up of switching the perspective from, you know, allowing somebody to buy you a coffee. How many of you have turned down a no and said, no, I'm okay, thank you. And they're like, I want to gift this to you, but my gift is Adam Grant. Give and Take by Adam Grant. You know, it's like, if I wanted to gift that to you and you don't want it, then what you're saying to me is that that gift isn't really worth my time. No, thank you. But if it's a large, maybe, right? So allow other people to give to you and don't be a taker. And in this business, it's the same exact thing. In marriage, it's the same exact thing. In friendships and relationships, it's the same thing. And are you a taker? Even though like, no, nobody ever gives me anything. Well, more than likely you're a taker, because you're taking away the opportunity for them to love you and give to you. Is that kind of where you wanted me to go with it, Dori?
Yeah, I love that. Does anybody have any questions?
So good. Oh my goodness, this chat.
Okay, quick question, since we're talking about like giving and taking and stuff. So what if you're always the one who always gives, you know, and just doesn't receive back? I mean, like, I don't know, it's just weird.
So there's something that I do that's, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it works sometimes and it doesn't work sometimes. There's a hair in my mouth. Hold on.
Bless you.
Thank you. But there is, never give more than you're willing to lose. And as a yellow, and this is going to come as you guys get bigger into this business and you start making more money, people are going to start asking you for it. It's just what happens. It's actually kind of weird and like really, really, really weird. But people will start asking you for things. And either you're going to give, never expecting it back, or you're going to learn that's a boundary I'm setting and it's not happening again. And so choose wisely what you want to give, because our bodies, our emotions, our financial, everything that we have is like an ATM, right? You have to deposit into it in order to take from it. And if I'm constantly just pouring out of my cup, I'm going to eventually be on empty. I'm not going to have anything else to give. And then I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be either blame somebody, or what's going to happen is I'm going to be depressed. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be like, they're just using me. And that's the devil's playground. And so never give more than you're willing to lose. But also there's a really cool word called reciprocity, and that's give and take. It is find those relationships where you're both 100, not 50-50, because then that's like a tally, like, oh, you're at 45%, sister, you haven't given this back to me, so I'm not going to give back to you. And that's exhausting. But give out of a gracious heart. And if you feel like it's never enough, then stop giving and set that boundary and don't apologize. That's what I would do. Anything you would add, baby?
That's awesome. I love that.
Josh is right here too. Everyone say hi to Josh.
What's up, guys?
Hi, Josh.
Yeah, I think so. Can you guys hear him?
Yeah. What advice can you give anyone watching this who has been maybe pushing for a promotion for so long and
Sorry. I took him off Bluetooth. Ask again, Dori.
oh, sorry.
Hold
What
on.
advice could you give someone who is watching this and they have been pushing for a promotion for so long and they're at the point where they're like, you know what, I'm about to quit because it's just not working, because they are so frustrated and beat down. And what advice?
Okay, I can hear you now. One more time.
Okay, what advice can you give someone who's been running for a promotion for so long, and they're just keep falling short, they're not getting it, and they are about to throw in the towel? Because that happens a lot of the times. A lot of us are pushing so hard, and we're like, it's not going anywhere. So what advice can you give to those people?
All right, I have two pieces of advice for that. The first one is I would search for what's missing, like Amber was talking about with her books. When you're going to do personal development or anything like that, like she gave really good advice on, like, people always ask Amber and me all the time, like, what book are you reading or what books do you recommend? And the book that we recommend completely depends on where you're at in your life, where you're at in your business, and what you're needing. And so that's the first piece of advice that I would give you. It's just like, kind of do a little bit of a self-assessment and see if you can tell what it is that's keeping you from that promotion. Like, is your confidence low? Like, sometimes people's confidence is low. And so when they're messaging or when they're posting or when they're doing all the things that we do day in and day out for our business, they're doing it with low energy or low excitement because they're not confident. People can feel your confidence or your excitement in your voice when you're sending messages, when you're posting, when you're doing your stories, when you're doing your reels, when you're talking with them on the phone, when you're texting with them. And if you're low excitement and you're just kind of speaking in a monotone voice when you're having those conversations, then that's not going to be very inspiring to people. And so maybe that's what it is. Maybe you need to get more sleep. Maybe you need to get your confidence up. Maybe you're having a hard time with your spirituality or your relationship with God. Maybe your marriage is in a tough spot. Maybe you're stressed out because of money. All of those things, like Amber was saying, affect the day-to-day things that we do to be successful in this business. And so make sure that you're working on all of those things. The better place that you are with your relationship with God, with your relationships in your family, with your relationships with your spouse, with the way that you feel about yourself, our physical bodies, right? The more confident we are in our bodies, the more energy we have because we're working out and we're taking our supplements and we're wrapping, we're taking our slimming gummies. All of that stuff, you guys, are little things that add to our ability to inspire other people and be excited when we're having conversations, and people want to follow people that are excited and high energy and confident and know where they're going. And so wherever you are on the spectrum of those things, all of us have things we're working on. I don't say you need to be at 100% in all of those areas in order to be successful. None of us are at 100%. All of us are working on things. And Amber and I today are in a completely different spot than we were when we were 9 years ago. There were tons of things then that we're a little bit better at now than we were then. But if we didn't let that hold us back, we constantly were working on those things. So that's the first thing that I would say. And then the second thing I would say is just stay consistent and be committed to it, because most of the time, just like all of those things that I just talked about, when people join this business, they start at different places in life, right? Somebody may come into the business and they have a huge network from a boutique that they used to own. And they went to college and they were a psychiatrist before, and they've gone through a lot of the mental hurdles that come with being in a business. And they've done a lot of work prior to coming into this business. So when they come in, they have huge success right away, right? And the very opposite of that is sometimes people come into this business, they're in broken relationships. They come from a bad family setting. They have low confidence because of where they are health-wise. They haven't had a lot of friends. They don't have a market because they just don't have a market. They haven't been in a business before. They don't have a lot of education or, all of those things. So those are kind of two ends of a spectrum, right? Sometimes people come in having done a lot of work from the beginning, and they're in a great position to be successful very quickly. Some people come in on the opposite end with a lot of hurdles to overcome or a lot of learning that they need to do in order to be successful. And all of us are somewhere in between those two opposite spectrums. And so if you've had some success and you work, let's say that you're an emerald, that's success. That's huge success. Like to be able to work from distributor up to emerald, that's amazing. Like that's a lot farther than a lot of people get. And so if you've been grinding for diamond for a year or two, and you've been at emerald and you've been stuck at emerald and you drop down to ruby maybe, and you've gotten your emerald back and you just can't seem to hit diamond, it's probably just something that you haven't learned yet, or some people that you haven't brought into your network yet, or the way that you're speaking, or maybe you're not quite excited enough. There's probably just a little thing that hasn't happened yet for you that will happen if you stay consistent, right? It will happen if you stay consistent, because you're going to continue to learn. You're going to continue to bring people into your network. You're going to continue to do your KPIs every single day. And that consistency will, quote unquote, fix or bring in that puzzle piece into your life, into your business. That will help you hit that promotion. And then if that's just a little thing that you need to figure out, you may hit diamond, then double, then triple really quick. It may just be something small that you haven't learned or you're not doing yet. It may be something that you learn at fall conference. It may be something that you learn on this call today that was missing. It may be something that Dori says 3 weeks from now, that if you quit today, if you don't go to fall conference, if you don't jump on a leader call 6 months from now, you won't get it, won't happen. But if you stay consistent and you put yourself in a position and you do your personal development and you do your KPIs, all of those pieces will fall into place. And just like thousands of people before you, you will hit that promotion. You will get diamond. You will hit double diamond. You will be able to hit the goals that you want to, that you envision for yourself in this business and in this life, and more than you ever imagined. Just think about if it's just one little tip or one phrase that you keep saying that keeps, scaring people away or whatever, that you fix. And then all of a sudden there's just an avalanche of success that comes your way. That's usually how it happens for a lot of people. And the reason that it doesn't happen for a lot of people is because they quit, they stop working, they stop being consistent, they get frustrated, they stop learning, they stop growing, they stop going to conferences, they stop jumping on these calls. And so keep at it, you guys. Stay consistent. Keep reaching out to leaders and get their tips, figure out what they're doing. Learn from those people that are in your circle and make sure that you're consistently doing that. And then it's just crazy how incredible things can happen. So that was my answer to that question. Really quickly, when you guys were talking about give and take right before I jumped on, the way that I look at it is, in my life, I'm always going to give more than I take. 100% of the time. Gary Vee always talks about this. He says, I will always give at least 51% when someone else is giving 49. And that's the way I approach my relationships. I'm not going to be walked all over. I'm not going to be taken advantage of, but I will always give, and I will expect to give more than other people in the relationships in my life. And that's just the way that I'm built. That's my mentality. And I do that knowing that I'm not going to quite get as much back. And I love that. Some people get frustrated with that. Like, oh man, I'm giving. I'm not getting anything back. That's unhealthy. If you're giving 100% and you're getting 5% back, that's an unhealthy relationship. And you either need to, if that's somebody important in your life, you need to have a conversation with that person, get on the same page. Or if that's not somebody important in your life, maybe that's a relationship that you start to create some distance between you and that person. But I always approach a relationship with, I'm always going to give, or I'm expect myself to give more than I receive. And then sometimes people, surprise you. They give you a lot back, and that causes you to up your game and pour into the relationship. And what a beautiful thing that is when that happens, because then that relationship, you're just constantly giving and pouring into each other, and you're teaching them, they're teaching you, you're inspiring them, they're inspiring you. You fall on hard times, or you have a struggle, and they're there to pick you up and help you through that. and you do the same for them. And it just creates a really great relationship when you can create that in the people that you're hanging out with. But I'm going to give you guys back to Amber. Thanks for being on this call, you guys. It could be something in this call, or the call a week from now, or a call, something that somebody says at fall conference, or a conference next year, that really changes the way that you're able to be successful in this business and change other people's lives. So thanks for being on.
That was so awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Oh my goodness.
That was
Because
so
not
awesome.
everyone gets to hear Josh. So it's always nice when he's around. Always good perspective.
So we are just about reaching that hour mark. So if anybody has any other questions, please go ahead and unmute. We can ask for now. Anybody have any questions? Yes, I love getting a man's perspective out of that. I was just telling my husband the same thing too. Like, I would love for him to come on and talk to people, because it's weird. Like, they soak up more from what he says sometimes. And I'm like, I just told you the same exact thing that Jeff told you, but it clicks when a guy tells it. So I love that. Yes.
And you know what's funny, Josh, one of our date nights, Josh knows how much I'm addicted to growth. I love it. I love growing. I love learning. I love failing. And one of my favorite dates he ever took me on was to a sales training with Vivint Home Security. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but Vivint Home Security, it was a sales training for all the guys. I was the only girl in there. And again, that one meeting gave me a tool that I've used throughout my entire business. And that if it comes from, and the rule is that if it comes from me, it's a lie. If it comes from someone else, it's the truth. That's in sales. Why do you think when the salesman, and you guys, now that you are aware of this, you're going to watch it. But, you know, if somebody knocks on your door for home security, they'll say, you know, your neighbor down the street, Sarah, she really loves the security system. And she said that it actually helped her like find her dog, make sure her dog didn't run out of the door or something like that. And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I know Sarah. So we use a point of interest, a person that we trust, somebody else, to send the message. Okay, but and so we so then we can, it's the truth. But if it comes directly from me, it's a lie. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, I can sit here and tell my kids all day long, but then their aunt tells them and they listen. Come on, right? And so oftentimes as leaders, at least for me, I do that. I'll go to Dori and I'm gonna say, Dori, we go tell my team da 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 da, and they're gonna listen to you. And they will, right? And so this is again that point of leadership where you grow and you don't take, you're like, what's wrong with me? How come they heard it from them? Or how come they like her better? Don't be like that. Be grateful that they're hearing it no matter where they're hearing it from. Be grateful that they're learning from it, even if it didn't come from you. It goes back to taking it personal when people quit. It's the same concept, right? I can sit here and tell you the same thing, but if they hear it from Josh, you're like, are you kidding me? I've been sitting here telling you this for 6 months, right? 6 months. But I did it with one of my leaders. I went to a higher up leader and I said, hey, she's struggling with this. I've walked her through it 12 times. Like, will you tell me what you would do? She said the same exact thing as me. And I said, can you go get on a phone call with her and tell her? And all of a sudden, leader got it. But I'm confident enough in myself to know that, like, right? I need to make that phone call and just say, hook a sister up, because I'm done talking about it, and let them hear it from somebody else, right? But you have to be confident in that to know that you're not stepping on somebody's toes and somebody isn't better than you. It's a whole level of confidence.
I love that.
Yeah. I wish more guys would do this.
I'd like to say something if I can.
Sure.
I'm sorry, my camera's not working. My name is Aline, and I'm under Melody McFarland. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. In 2018, I got my certified life coaching training. Long story short, my son was struggling several years ago in college, and I hooked him up with a life coach, and she guided him, coached him, directed him. So anyway, he was able to turn himself around, graduate from college, and he's a physical therapist now. So I was going to say that I coach different people, so they can, attain their goals that they want to achieve in life. So I'm so glad that I got my certification in 2018, because I was thinking about this the other day. It said, I'm coaching people for going on 3 years now, just to attain personal goals. And
Yeah, I love
so not necessarily business, but just different things that they want to achieve. So being a coach goes hand in hand with what we are all trying to accomplish with it works. So
Yes.
if I can't utilize those coaching skills with accomplishing with what I want to accomplish with it works, then I got a problem. So
I love that. I love that. And I think that's so great, that you have found something that works for you. And if you can do that, we always say be a product of the product. Same for you, right? Like show people like that what you're doing. And I'm excited for you. That's awesome.
thank you so much. I enjoyed
Thank you so
listening
much.
to you and your husband. It's helped a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Anyone else have any questions for me?
No questions.
Cool.
Well, if they do have any more questions, I'll be glad to take it down. But
Yeah.
I don't want to take up any more of your time. You gave us an hour, and I'm so humbled, and I'm so blessed that you're able to do this for me, for us, for our entire team. And I'm so grateful. I came home from the winter circle, and I could not stop talking about that experience that I had and that conversation that I had with you. And I was telling my husband, and I was telling my mom folks about it. And that I know that is why I was sent up there, to experience all that. But it was to have that conversation with you, and just the feeling that I got from talking to you, and even crying in front of you. Cause like I said, I don't cry. Like I feel like Dori's a tough one. I don't do that. But just to like break that barrier a little bit with you was just an incredible, very humbling experience. And I am so grateful that you could do this for our team. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So
it's my pleasure, you guys. The only difference between me and you is that I've continued to grow. And so grow, baby, grow. And Dori, I just wanted to say, like, this is the first part of that next level for you, is reaching out, doing the things that scare you, and remembering that light within you, that you're so ready for this. And I hope that you do these more. I hope you reach out to more leaders. I hope that, you feel so confident and know that you keep growing like this, you keep reaching out, you keep asking, you're going to be successful. You have to be. And that goes for each and every single one of you. So Dori, I can't thank you enough for asking. I am all over Team Hawaii. And if you guys need anything, do not hesitate to reach out, please.